life, he discovered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and before that he didn't know much about him. And later on he said, "Oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I thought he was, some, Sahaji or whatever like that." So he didn't give much regard, and later on he got serious and he began to study, and then he understood the nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then he understood this is the highest teaching. So, unlike that, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was born into proper knowledge of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. So, he didn't have to struggle at all. So from an early age, he was also very devotional. Of course, the story is there that when the Rath Yatra was there, it stopped in front of his house in Puri when Bhaktivedanta Thakur was the magistrate, and they placed him on the cart, and then the garland fell off over the body, etc. So there were many auspicious signs when he was a small child, and of course he grew up with showed great intelligence. As a child, of course, he was fond of the intellectual things and arguing and stuff like that. So he was he used to have debates with other students, etc., in school. But later on, as he grew up, then he lost interest completely in his studies. And though he was very proficient in studies, including mathematics and astronomy, he kind of rejected the whole thing, and then he began to simply absorb himself in the chanting of the name and preaching, and of course studying the works of all the Gaudiya Acharyas. Yeah. So as he grew up, then he was quite, or I say, extremely devoted. At the same time, he observed that many people were the opposite, and therefore he was very intolerant of people who were pretending to be spiritual or pretending to be followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who actually were not. So later in his writings, we see often he criticizes these different groups who have all sorts of false ideas. So, based on his great learning and devotion, therefore, he was able to distinguish the true devotees from those who were not devotees. And he tried various jobs here and there. And then eventually he started this movement. He gave up everything. Gave up his studies, then he gave up work, etc. And then he just sat down and he began chanting the holy name in Mayapur. And then after that, then he began his movement. And we see that, of course, at not a very old age, he also disappeared. So his movements also started quite young, and it grew very quickly, which is surprising, but it actually grew quite quickly in his lifetime, which was not too long. So he very vigorously began to preach. And this was a little bit different because this was an organized movement that he established. And he had preachers, etc., in that movement. Previously, the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, basically, there were caste Goswamis who had a few disciples and they would teach them. That was it. There was no movement as such to go out and preach to the public and whatever. But Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur's aim was to communicate with everybody and expose them to Lord Chaitanya's teachings and Nam Sankirtan. So he established a movement to do that, an organization. To a small degree, of course, Bhaktivedanta Thakur did so, but it was not so well organized and developed as that of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. So he established a whole movement. He was in Mayapur, then he went to Calcutta, and then he got properties there, and he established the movement and made the temple there, got devotees in various places. And the brahmacharis began vigorously preaching. So he established an organization with brahmacharis in it who became equipped with preaching, and then they went out and they talked to people about the philosophy and movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way he established that movement, and it spread surprisingly in a time when India itself was very unstable. It was still under the British, but the nationalists were there making something like this, and in the midst of that there was the war started between the First World and Second World War again, and that was there. There was all sorts of catastrophes and famines and diseases going on, etc. Nevertheless, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur persevered, and his movement seemed to expand in that whole period when between the wars, the First World War and the Second World War, quite dramatically. And we see that he actually was not able to preach, but through that preaching he got funds so he could establish temples. They got properties and they established temples all throughout India. I don't know the exact number, but quite a few temples were there. So, yeah, within within that short period of time. Yeah. So even in Madras there's a temple. We got Bombay Temple and Delhi and Namisaranya or whatever, different places. They had temples all over the place. So this is quite a remarkable feat at that time, a very rapidly expanding movement. So that was his contribution, that he was able to establish a movement which spread very quickly in his lifetime, even though it was not so long. One of his remarkable features, of course, was his strong intelligence based on scripture, by which he could defeat others and convince others of the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and establish it on very firm ground. But because of that, he was able to spread the movement quite nicely in his lifetime. So he established a movement like that. Unfortunately, after he disappeared, then that movement began to, about 10 years afterwards, I think it was, then it began to gradually break up into different groups. And each of the sannyasis went his own way and established his own mat. Srila Prabhupada, he saw that unfortunate disintegration of the mat, and when he saw that, then he was trying to figure out how to prevent that in ISKCON. So that's we see in his writings. He refers to that, how the Gaudiya Mat broke up. So he was very worried that his own movement would not follow the same fate and break up into different factions. So that was one of his main things. Now the movement broke up because of the different personalities there, all trying to be leaders, basically. They set up their own organization like that. Prabhupada was not too impressed with all that, because that was at the expense of preaching, because they all had small little movements, and they were just located in their own particular temple, and then they weren't expanding the preaching at all. So after that, we don't get many temples opening up anywhere. And even the temples that were there, basically, they were just maintaining. Prabhupada, therefore, was very, very upset with that, and that's why he took preventative measures to prevent a breakup of ISKCON in a similar way. Now, of course, we see that ISKCON did survive 10 years and 20 years and 30 years and whatever, so it's gone on. So it's like, 40-something years, I guess it is now. 40 years? 41 years? It has survived that long, and we have to find means of trying to preserve it in the future. So we can take examples from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's life also to inspire us to carry on this movement and keep it unified. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur never thought of a divided movement. And that's why he established all those centers all around, etc. So we should also think of in terms of how to spread the movement as a unified organization, not as some separate parts or whatever like that. And therefore we have to be a little intelligent. The circumstances are quite different in one sense nowadays. Society is quite different, and moreover, the movement is spread all over the world. It's not just India and I guess Burma. At his time there was Burma and India. Basically that's where the movement spread. But now it's all around the world, so it's a little more complex in that way. And not just in terms of nationality, but in terms of governments, in terms of culture, in terms of attitudes, etc. There's quite a few differences. But nevertheless, we have to somehow try to keep the movement together in spite of all of these differences. So that requires some study and great wisdom on the part of the leaders of ISKCON. So when Prabhupada was present, then he kept the movement together. So the whole problem is, after Srila Prabhupada, what do we do? So when Prabhupada was there, if there was a problem, he makes a decision, and everybody follows, and they don't quarrel, well, Scripture says that, why we have to do it this way, why we have to do it that way, Scripture says that. No, they wouldn't, whatever Prabhupada said, they would just follow. But now, not like that, because Prabhupada's not there, so that we have to rely on Scripture, or what would Prabhupada do? Maybe we know, maybe we don't know. Some people say Prabhupada would do this, Prabhupada would do that. We don't really know, so we have to be very careful how we proceed in any case. But we should ultimately try to keep the movement together. Prabhupada had that idea, and he was inspired by the activities of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to do that. So we should follow the inspiration of both of them, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, and keep ISKCON united.
संसार दावानललीललोका त्रणाय कारण्य घनागणत्वं संसार दावानललीललोका त्रणाय कारण्य घनागणत्वं प्राप्तिश कल्याण गुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुराशि चरणारविन्दं प्राप्तिश कल्याण महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वदित्र माद्यन् मनसरसेना महाप्रभु की रोमाञ्चकम्पाश्रुतराङ्गबाजं वन्दे गुराशि चरणारविन्दं रोमाञ्चकम्पा श्रीविग्रहाराधननितनाना शृङ्गारतान्मान् दिरामार्जनाद श्रीविग्रहारा युक्तस्य भक्तान् शनयोञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दां युक्तस्य भक्तान् चतुर्विदाशे भगवत्प्रसादं स्वदान्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गान् चतुर्विदाशे कृतैव तृप्तिं भजता सदैव वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दां कृतैव तृप्तिं श्रीराधिका माधवयारपारं मधुरलीला गुणरपणां नाम श्रीराधिका प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलपस्य वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दां प्रतीक्षणा स्वा निकुञ्जयो नो रतिकेलिसिद्धै ययालिबेरो तिरपेक्षणीया निकुञ्जयो नो तत्राटिदाक्षादतिबालवस्य वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दां तत्राटिदाक्षा साक्षादरीत्वेन समस्तशास्त्रै उक्तस्तथा बतयेव सात्मे साक्षादरीत्वेन किन्तु प्रवर्यं प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दां किन्तु प्रवर्यं यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत् प्रसादं यस्य प्रसादान् न गति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादान् दयांस्तु वांस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दां दयांस्तु वांस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यम् वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दं वन्दे गुराशे चरणारविन्दं वन्दे गुराशे Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Now we'll have Pushpanjali. So devotees are requested to keep the flower offering for 3 times. After each offering, pay obeisance and place the flowers on the lotus feet of Prabhupada. Pushpanjali க்கு பூ கொடுத்துருக்கோம். அவர் மந்திரம் சொல்லி முடிச்ச உடனே 3 வாட்டி வச்சுக்கோங்க, ஒரே வாட்டி போட்டுறாதீங்க.
Sarasvati Devi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. Premaja Shri Rupanoga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarane Rupanoga Viruddha Bhaktisiddhanta Vantaharane Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati iti namane Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Adayane Prabhave Namaha. Madhurojvala Premadya Sri Rupanoga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarane Rupanoga Viruddha Bhaktisiddhanta Dvantaharane. Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati iti namane Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Nayataya Kripabdaye Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. Madhurojvala Premadya Shri Rupanoga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarane Rupanoga Viruddha Bhaktisiddhanta Dvantaharane.
Swami Maharaj ki.
Namo Vishnupadaya
कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद श्री कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Krishna Jayo Lalita Vishaka Radha Krishna Jayo Lalita Vishaka Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshana